Rashid Shaheed, this is a player we don't talk about a lot. This is one of Steve D'Angelo's guys. Like, he loved Shaheed before I even knew who the guy was. And he turned out to be a very solid player. He signs a 1-year extension with the Saints, right around $5.5 million. Shaheed could be a player that nobody is drafting high, but I think he could potentially, I hate to throw the word league winner, but if the stars align, I love Rashid Shaheed. Like, I think he could drastically smash his ADP when it comes to his overall fantasy finish. No more Michael Thomas, right? Because Michael Thomas, as banged up as he's been, I think he played like 9 or 10 games last year. We obviously have to overcome Derek Carr. They just lost Ryan Ramczyk, their star center. This offensive line's a work in progress. But Rashid Shaheed, when he gets opportunities, he pops. Now, obviously, a better best ball target type of player, but I think he could drastically outperform his ADP if he takes that step forward.
Yeah, I feel that. I think it's going to really depend on this Kubiak offense and what they want to do, right? I think, 46% snap share for Shaheed last year is really what concerns me the most.
But no more Michael Thomas.
I know, but how many games was Michael Thomas even on the field for all of the games last season? I'd have to take a look. I don't
He played
remember.
At least 9 or 10.
Yeah, he had 23 catches for 448 last year, Michael Thomas. To your point, I think Shaheed's a good best ball player. He played in 10 games. Michael Thomas, I just took
Thomas 477 snaps. So he was on the field.
Yeah, he was on the field. But I mean, again, Michael Thomas is a guy who's not even signed right now. Like, at this point in his career, like Shaheed, like, you would hope would be able to beat out Michael Thomas, in my opinion. I know he was young, but he was going into year 2. It wasn't like he was a rookie. He'd been there. But for all that said, I mean, 719 receiving yards, 15.6 yards per reception in 2022, 17.4 yards per reception. Like, I mean, honestly, like you put a guy like this in like the Lions offense, like I think of like a Jameson Williams, right? Like similar skill sets where like they can burn you over the top, but like not like a move the chains kind of receiver where they're gonna provide you pop. Like this is like the Jameson Williams, like a poor man's Jameson Williams, right? And it's just he's just playing in a worse offense. But you hope that Kubiak can get this offense right, because I don't know, with Derek Carr, I actually liked the signing last year with the Saints. As a Broncos fan, like, I can't sit here and say I loved Derek Carr. He had some decent games against us, but I was actually excited for what he could bring. I know that's a scary thing to say about Derek Carr, but like I thought he would be good there. But that offense was a joke. I don't really understand. I don't know if it was all on Carr. I don't know if it was the play calling. Dennis Allen hasn't really shown me much as a head coach to make me believe that like he has the fortitude to lead the team. I mean, when Jameis Winston's sitting there in victory formation and then goes for it, I think it was like the last game of the season and pretty much doesn't care what the coach has to say. Like that says a lot about you. So I don't want to put it too much on Carr, though he does deserve blame, but I think Kubiak in this offense will look a lot better, and Shaheed should benefit from it. I just worry about roster clogs. I know I never want to say somebody's not draftable. Everybody's draftable at cost, but I worry about guys like Shaheed where they're too good to drop, but not good enough to start every week. And that's why I prefer a guy like that in best ball.
Yeah, I have a lot of him in best ball. He also provides value in leagues where you get credit for kick and punt return touchdowns, and there are some out there in best ball, especially. He's also a guy like I'm good. I might have a few shares in the redraft high stakes leagues as well, just because again, being drafted just outside the top 100 last year, more of a full-time player compared to his rookie season. He gave us 5 wide receiver 2 weeks, including 3 wide receiver 1 weeks.
Yeah.
So when he pops, he pops. Just a matter of, okay, no more Michael Thomas. You're probably going to be the guy in 2 wide sets. Look at the depth chart, guys like Cedric Wilson, A.T. Perry. Not a lot of competition. Yeah. I think he could really earn himself some targets. And 23rd last year in route win rate, and 23rd in win rate versus man. So we know he has the speed to beat coverage as well. So I'm very bullish on this guy. Despite the bad situation offensively, because it's bad. I just wanted to talk about him.
Yeah.
Because we don't a lot, but I feel like Steve is onto something with this guy. I don't know.
He's to your point, like even just hearing what you said, like perfect best ball player. Like 2 wide receiver 1 finishes, 3 wide receiver 2 finishes. Yeah. Like that's a guy that at the cost that you're getting him at, like you'll have to expect if you get points for kick return touchdowns, like, you know, that there's a benefit in that. I just worry about like, he's a guy that like, he's going to have a huge week in the first 5 weeks where he scores like 25 fantasy points. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, I can't drop this guy. And then you never know when to start him. Right. Like, and I just worry like Chris Olave is a target hog, and who knows what's going to happen with Alvin Kamara, right? I mean, but if the offense is better, they push the ball down the field more, and Kamara, you know, regresses or isn't getting those kinds of targets, then they got to go somewhere. And so Shaheed could benefit from it. I mean, 75 targets is not terrible in year 2 for a guy like him. His air yards were 1,000 air yards. Like that's pretty good. And I know you don't love air yards. We've had this conversation on the show, but 1,000 air yards ain't too bad, man.
No,
it's not bad.